copies, 3 minutes.
I'll do it. Give me a chair.
On January 5th, 2016, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2016, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Our Town, the Record, and the Community News newspaper, and distributed all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Reverend Edwards, if you would come up to the invitation, please.
Yes, I suppose so.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together this evening. We thank you for this great borough of Maywood. We thank you for our leaders. We pray for guidance and protection. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We pray, Lord, that you will bless in a special way this meeting, and that at the conclusion all things will be done to give you the glory and honor, and that this city will continue to grow, and that every business that is embarking for 2016 will be accomplished. In your name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone would remain standing for salute the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Cabrera.
Here.
Council members Padovano. Trevino.
Here.
DeHere.
Here.
Messer.
Here.
Maroney.
Here.
Lindenau.
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Dario.
Here.
Borough Administrator Roberta Stern. Here. Borough Clerk Jean Pellegris here.
Members of the council, I ask your indulgence to go out of the order of regular business, and we have some closed session items that we would like to deal with now. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Personnel issue.
Second.
Roll call.
Padovano. Trevino.
Yes.
DeHere.
Yes.
Messer.
Yes.
Maroney.
Yes.
Lindenau.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not expect. We do.
Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. I'm sorry.
Yes. We do not expect to be that long. We're going to come right back out. We just have to handle this.
Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. The Mayor and Council meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matters. Personnel, which subject matters are permitted to be discussed in closed session. Be further resolved precisely determined at this time, the discussion conducted in said closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided disclosure not violate attorney-client privilege or constitute undue invasion of privacy. Be further resolved, Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood will return open session after this meeting.
Thank you for your indulgence.
Sorry.
I don't know if it was something I was saying.
Well, we stop on.
If it isn't in good condition, we had been informed by PSE&G that if the DPW went out and spray painted any areas that they thought were of concern, we could also take a look on the governing body's behalf to spray paint some areas. PSE&G would then improve those areas.
Yeah, I realize that would be perfect, but it's just not a good temporary.
I understand. And again, we will be pushing for full roadway paving restoration, not just a half roadway width.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Greg,
Sure.
Going to the stop sign studies, should we decide to go forward with those, is there a process in between this council voting, from your report and this council voting, is there anything else?
There would not, other than you putting forth the ordinance that would be necessary to install those signs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
If no one else has anything from the engineer, we can, as on the calendar, to head out. If you're,
Thank you so much.
just do me a favor, just wait till we, right after we open the public. Thank you.
Glad to.
Is there any, are there any work session items on or off the agenda tonight? Anyone wishes to speak about?
I'd like to make mention your minutes that are on for approval. The work session minutes are dated December 8th, however, the agenda reflects the 10th. But know that they are the meeting of the 8th work session.
Thank you. All right. Open the meeting to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to be heard? Please.
John Brown, 41 Stelling Avenue. Just a curiosity question. You have 3816 tonight, which is a contract with the county on health services for $48,000. How does that compare to the last one?
It's actually very similar. If I remember correctly, there might be a very minimal increase. I think we were at 47 and change.
And that's a 5-year deal, right? Good.
And I think that their rate increase was, we got a better deal by going for the 5 years as opposed to
Right.
Gotcha.
a lesser term.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome, John. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard? If not, close the meeting to the public. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion for the approval of December 10th, 2015? You just warned me that. Is there a motion for the approval of the December 8th, 2015 work session and closed session minutes, and the December 22nd, 2015 council meeting and closed session minutes? So moved. Second? Do we have a second? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Roll call?
Paterno?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes?
Dehir?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Maroni?
Abstain for December the 8th and yes for the 22nd.
Lindenau?
Yes.
All right, presentation of bills and claims and request for public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to be heard on the bill list tonight? Seeing none, the clerk has presented the bills. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Paterno? Trevino?
Yes?
Dehir?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
You okay?
Yes, it went that time. You didn't go blind?
Yeah, with blanks and went back.
No, I was going to ask you because you have your report. I want to make sure you're together. You all right?
Water most of them
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Correspondence and report of the Borough Clerk.
You received all the correspondence either in your mailbox or via email. The only thing Betty Fetzer had brought up on the using the bus for Election Day. That's quite a ways away, so that's something the council would want to consider in the next couple months. That it be available for the general election in November. So
This November.
2016 presidential election, maybe it should be available to the public. We don't.
Well, when you said election, and you said November. This November. That's all.
I thought you were...
General elections in November.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Report of the Borough Attorney.
Let's get the one administrator or whatever you like.
Mayor? Well, for one, we all know that the 2016 blizzard Jonas was a little bit unexpected. We were prepared, as it happens, even though we didn't have the normal drill of the OEM because we were not supposed to have quite as much snow as we did. But that said, somebody else up there had it more in store for us. In any event, for the most part, we were prepared. Our men did a great job. There were some places that weren't as great as other places, but that does happen in a significant snowstorm like that. But we're staying on top of it, and we have additional cleanup as the days go by. Yesterday, the county executive offered assistance to all municipalities and mayors with additional equipment. And I don't know if I just answered first, but we were able to get some trucks, which facilitated the removal of some of the snow, because our own trucks aren't that large, so there was a lot of going back and forth. The county vehicles were the double tandem axle stuff, whatever that means. Larger, we had 3 trucks, and we were able to do a lot of cleaning up. So I think it was very nice of the county to offer, and hopefully they will continue to coordinate services with us, and it should be appreciated by everyone. And that's all I have.
For the Borough Lieutenant.
Mayor, we'll go back into closed session after the meeting. I have an additional report for you. About litigation.
Thank you. Committee reports. Councilman Pavan.
I attended a meeting of the Golden Age Club, and they have some fun events planned over the next few months. Their biggest fundraiser is Fish and Chips. It'll be on Saturday, March 19th. Tickets are $15 a person, and they're doing a tricky trade there, too. The Board of Health sponsored a rabies clinic on January 20th. 66 dogs and 12 cats received their rabies shots. Thank you to Dr. Buchholz for coming and doing that for the town. And thank you also to Tara Grunschra, the Board of Health Secretary, Jean Palagra, Borough Clerk, and Sally Miller, Deputy Clerk, for organizing it, and everyone who came and helped out from the Board of Health. It was very organized. There wasn't much waiting in lines. And just a reminder that every dog needs to be licensed, and you also need a special tag if you want to use the dog park. I attended the reorganization meeting of the Insurance Safety Committee, and I will continue to update on that throughout the year. I know Frank Moroni will talk about this too, but I attended the Hall of Fame induction by the Historical Committee, and Betty Fetcher and the Historical Committee did such a great job. It was such a nice day. And lastly, I know Tom Lindenau will talk more about this, but the DPW really did a great job during the snowstorm. I mean, the fact that the schools were open, and schools in some towns still haven't opened, that just said a lot about how hard they worked. And that's it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Javino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the EMS meeting on January 18th. Right now, they're working on a campaign to get additional members. We could definitely use some more volunteers on the EMS. We kind of count on them for our safety, and hope some residents in town would step up and take on that opportunity. And also they're looking at software called EMS Charts, which will allow them to electronically collect the data on tablet devices when they're just accessing the patient before they bring them to the hospital. I attended a library meeting on January 20th. For the month of December, they added 683 items. For the adult services, on January 19th, they had a Savvy Social Security planning session, which I heard was very good. Hopefully they'll be able to do that again. February 9th, they'll be doing a financial planning session, and February 16th, they'll be doing a session on elder law. Youth services continue to do their reading, clubs of reading. They had a frozen party on having a frozen party January 24th. They have family Lego night on January 25th. They're tentatively having a Comic-Con on February 20th. And March is Makers Month at the library. They'll be participating with the New Jersey Makers on March 19th with the robotics program by Minds in Motion. And they'll also be doing some other Makers programs throughout the month. They also, at the meeting, had their reorganization of elected president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. All members stayed the same as last year. And yesterday, on January 25th, I attended the Municipal Alliance meeting. The first event for the Municipal Alliance will be on Friday, January 29th. That's going to be at the Maywood Library, and it's going to be a showing of the movie Goosebumps. We've also discussed several other dates and events throughout the school year for different age groups. Once those are more locked in, I'll report on those dates. On March 30th, there will be a senior luncheon with a pharmacist to discuss medication safety and the importance of vaccinations. And besides that, they'll be purchasing some signs and banners to promote the Alliance messages about self-respect, anti-drug use, and stigma-free. And they approved the purchase of various games to be used for activity days at Maywood Avenue School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janino. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the building department, for the month of January to date, they have collected $6,368 in permit fees. They're very active. I attended the fire department's reorganization meeting at the beginning of the month, and as you know, you were helping them. They're in the process of trying to get some grants for Scott packs, which is a very expensive item, so they're trying to save the town some money because it's something they have to replace the Scott packs on a regular basis. Also working with the Fire Prevention Bureau in their planning of some of the needs they have for 2016, so as they come about, we'll report them, but they're very well organized and they're working on that. I also want to thank the DPW for the great job they did. It was not easy, just shoveling. I know how hard it was, and they took care of the whole town, so I'm sure it was quite a monumental task. And also, as was said before, I also attended the Hall of Fame ceremony, and the people there were priceless. The stories they had were great. They were extremely funny. I don't think they planned to be funny, but they were quite hilarious. And it was a great turnout to see that many people in town turn out to honor these people. Many of them, of course, have since passed. But the four that were there were just amazing. And I'm sure everybody else could attest, sitting in the room looking around, you were probably in the room with future Hall of Fame inductees.
Absolutely.
It was just an amazing thing to see that many people. And Betty Fetzer was amazing. She asked the question, and she just asked by a show of hands how many people volunteered. And it was easier to count the people whose hands didn't go up, who volunteered, than the people who do volunteer in this town. It is amazing how many people just get up off their bottoms and volunteer. People get out in the playing field, they don't sit in the bleachers. So it was a great event. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Massar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On a personal note, I also attended the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and the one takeaway for me is that it's very important for the community to honor its volunteers, especially while they're living. I think that there are some great people that were inducted into the Hall of Fame, but the ones that were there were quite humorous, and they're fantastic people, and I think next year's class will be just as good as this year's class, and we should really do our best to honor these people while they can still crack a joke and have a smile and enjoy themselves. So, a great tribute to all. Also, I did attend the rabies clinic, not to get a shot, but to help out a little bit, and it was very well run. Lots of teeth, not just on the animals, on the people. There wasn't a lot of waiting in line or anything like that, so it was very well run, and I thank the volunteers and everybody who organized that. Also, over the weekend, the Maywood Youth Athletic Association and the Maywood Rochelle Park Girls Softball hosted a coaches party to thank their coaches. I was in attendance. I know the mayor was in attendance. Councilman Lindenau was in attendance. We were there to thank our volunteer coaches, and it was actually quite a nice turnout, even though we had the snow and everybody's backs were hurting from shoveling the day before. So it was nice to see all the volunteers out, and we shook a lot of hands and said thank you for your support, because Maywood is all about volunteers. So it makes this town a special place. From Recreation Department, Councilman Trevino mentioned the Goosebumps movie on Friday the 29th. Thank you. Also, for the next work session, I would like to have something to be inserted into the field permits for when they get picked up for the spring that talk about the lightning detection system. I have a little snippet from the Village of Bridgewood that I'd like to model after, and I will have copies of this ready for the next meeting for everybody to review, so we can insert it in the packages when people come to pick them up, and we can have a little discussion about that at the next meeting. As you've all read in the newspapers, tragic situation a couple of weeks ago. A young woman went missing after she was pulled up in Maywood the night of the 14th. During the weekend, the 15th and the 16th, there was a very large volunteer group that staged at Duane Reade on the other end of Maywood, and the Maywood Police Department assisted as well as the mayor and the borough attorney in helping these groups and coordinating and getting them what they needed to do their jobs. Unfortunately, their search ended up with tragic results, but the community did come together and try to help find this young lady. And I thank everyone from Maywood who contributed to those efforts. Also, during the snowstorm the other day, the police department was very active. They transported quite a few doctors and nurses to the hospital when they couldn't get there themselves. They did run into some situations where cars, unfortunately, were parked on the street during a snow emergency. And as everybody should know, you should not have your vehicle on the street during a snow emergency. Luckily, most of the residents responded when they were contacted about moving their vehicles, but should a resident not respond, unfortunately, the vehicle will have to be towed the next time that happens. And also on your agenda tonight, you will see an appointment for a police officer to be Brian Rubio, to be a permanent member of the Maywood Police Force. I know Mr. Rubio, he's an outstanding young man, and he will serve the borough well. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Messler. Mr. Marone?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Well, you stole my thunder about the historical committee and the Hall of Fame, but...
It deserves as much thunder as it
did.
gets.
It really did. I think Betty Fetzer did just a wonderful job with it, as she typically does when she gets on the pulpit. She tends to take command, but she did a wonderful job. I want to congratulate Betty and the rest of the historical community for putting it all together and doing such a great job. We had 10 inductees for them, as you know, because most everyone who was there for the event were alive. And Assemblyman Tim Eustace said it well, and so did Mr. Messer. It's nice to have the living honored because you get a chance to hear their stories and their backgrounds, and it was very captivating and very awe-inspiring to hear some of these stories. And Al Boom, I knew because he was principal when I went to high school, but some of the like Hortense Mott, and everyone's really their speeches were quite wonderful. I want to also take a second to say thank you to Claire and Greg Padavano for the desserts. I have to give a thank you to Greg because he picked up the NW crumb cake. Claire baked, and she did a wonderful job with the baked goods. We had a tremendous turnout. We packed the senior center, and I thank everybody for their turnout. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Council President Lindenau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a little snow the other day. We were prepared. It could have been better. Yeah, there were some areas that could have been better, but for the most part, for that extreme amount of snow we got in that short period of time, I think the DPW did an outstanding job. We had only one minor breakdown on one of the trucks, so nobody got hurt, so it was good overall. Learned a few things. Maybe some things we might have to do different the next time, but overall I'm proud of them. They did a good job. Starting at 10 o'clock tonight, as we've done in the past when we've had massive snow, there's an outside contractor that'll be in town on Pleasant removing that snow. There's just nowhere to plow it when they clean the streets, so it gets piled up, and we're going to have that all taken out tonight. So hopefully by tomorrow morning it'll be a lot easier to navigate around town. Fire hydrants, please make sure when it snows, people clear the fire hydrants. I heard there was a couple incidents where people were burying their fire hydrants, so please, we have an ordinance that you have to clean your fire hydrants, so make sure that gets done when it snows. And also, I want to make a note on the Hall of Fame ceremony. It was, everybody else basically said it already, but it was an excellent day. It was really proud to be a Maywoodian that day, to be there for that.
I want to interject one other thing about the snow is the streets were in much better shape until a lot of people pulled their cars out of the driveway.
Yes.
And seen the cars out in the street. And then a lot of the streets were in bad shape after that. So remind everyone that please, when you're cleaning off your car, push the snow onto the side of the street and not into the middle of the street.
And snow blow. I actually saw some people snow blowing the snow from the sidewalks into the street after the plows came down. So Please don't do that. That's all I have tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regard to the hydrants, I want to thank the members of the three companies, the fire department, 17, 18, 19. They went out over the weekend and they made sure that all those hydrants were clear. Some of them, like Mr. Lindenhouse said, were pretty much buried. And it wasn't just the snow buried, it was actually buried. The snow that was removed from the property was put on top of that, so it was a little bit higher than the actual snow itself. So I've got to remind the residents to please keep those hydrants clear. We saw several years ago in Garfield where that didn't happen and a house was lost because of it. Lives are at stake and at the very least property is at stake, so it's in everyone's interest to keep those hydrants clear. But for the most part, our residents are adhering to that ordinance, and I appreciate it. The Hall of Fame. Everybody did say a lot about it. You cannot say enough about it. The job that Betty Fetzer, our historian, and the historical committee did putting this event together was unbelievable. It was about 2-3 years in the making. And they waited this long, and it was well worth the wait. They got it right. The event itself was just great. Everybody there, with every speaker, you had laughter, smiles, tears, just awe, sitting there in awe for the people that what they have accomplished. They were all accomplished speakers as well. Every one of those people that spoke, every one of the four, gave speeches that you would think they were paid to do. They did such a great job. And they spoke from the heart, and they are our treasures, and I'm glad we did get to recognize them while they're here as opposed to later on. That's the time to recognize people. Let's see what else we have.
We got autographs.
We did get, you know what? We did get autographs, and I'll tell you what, Beverly Stewart Armstrong, Mayor Stewart's sister, she played for the Rockford Peaches, and she started talking about that, and I saw smiles like everybody was a kid again on some of the guys who just, when she said that she was going to give that autograph, I was the first one online, and I know I raced the superintendent of schools to get there.
And Assemblyman Eustace.
We all, it was arranged to get there, and I got there first, and there is a picture, I think it was in the Hour Town, where we were just huddled around her listening to her speak. She was giving stories, and not only did she play for the Rockford Peaches, but she also played professional basketball, professional women's basketball. She was an unbelievable athlete. It was just such a nice night. I don't know that I've ever been more proud to live in this town than I did that day. I've had a lot of prideful moments being in this town, but none were more than that. It was a great event, and I want to thank her so much, and I am looking forward. I know they're debating whether or not to have it biannually or annually, but I'm hoping that they do it annually. There are enough people in this town that are deserving of that honor that they can do that every year, absolutely, and I'm looking forward to the next class. The DPW. Considering the circumstances and the amount of snow that we got, they did an unbelievable job. Every man, they worked, I think, 18 hours straight at one point. I mean, they had their breaks, but I think they were here
7 to 7, I'm sorry, 7 to 7, and then some stayed till 2 a.m. in the morning, others didn't, but it was rather
You
significant.
can see the amount of work, and then they came in the next day. I mean,
Right.
many of them came in the next day to help out. I got a nice email from Superintendent Jordan thanking our DPW. They were able to help the school, and they aided the school superintendent, I'm sorry, the school custodians. And because of that, we were able to keep our schools open, have our schools open, and as you know, from watching TV and the newspapers, a lot of towns weren't able to do that, still aren't able to do that. So I want to thank our DPW and the leadership there. I know we might, unfortunately, I hope not, but we are looking at maybe a potential storm.
No.
No, we're not, that's going on? Or are you just going to wish it away?
It was a threat.
A threat?
No.
Okay, well, listen,
That's a threat.
if we get it, we will plow forward, we'll plow ahead. Pardon the pun. But I'm bummed. Lastly, we have The Maywood Avenue School Class of 2016 is selling ads. They have their program to be handed out at the 36th Annual Maywood Basketball Tournament. We generally do things like this. And, it's like the pleasure of the council, whether we want to do a half-page ad, full-page ad, we want to go with that.
What's the list there?
We usually do full page.
ad?
We usually do full page when we do the American Legion, these kind of things. We usually do full page. So.
Everybody could do anything that they want to do, but as a council, it's...
Yes, listen, we all can do individual as well, but I'm just saying as a council, we want to do that.
Motion for a full page, so you need a second.
Okay, so who made the motion? Okay. Roll call?
I'm sorry, who's second? Me. Catalano?
Yes.
Gervino?
Yes.
DeHere?
Yes.
Mesa?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Lindanow?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all that I have. We have now resignations. Acceptance of the following. Anthony Nunez as a member of the Maywood Fire Police, effective January 1st, 2016. Number 2, Franco Lavaglia as an employee of the DPW Department of Public Works, effective January 15th, 2016. 3, Genevieve Stelter as a member of the Maywood Recreation Advisory Board, effective January 26th, 2016. Is there a motion to accept the resignations?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gervino?
Yes.
DeHere?
Yes.
Mesa?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Lindanow?
Yes.
Appointments approval of the following. Marisol Matos Rowe as a member of the Maywood Library Board of Trustees for a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2020. 2, Jermaine Galatano as a member of the Insurance Safety Committee effective January 5th, 2016 for a 1-year term expiring 12/31/2016. 3, Gary Newman as acting DPW Superintendent Public Works Manager effective January 11th, 2016 at an annual salary in accordance with the current salary ordinance. Number 4, Police Officer Brian Rubio is a permanent member of the Maywood Police Department effective January 26th, 2016. Is there a motion for the appointments?
Move to appoint.
Second.
Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gervino?
Yes.
DeHere?
Yes.
Mesa?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Lindanow?
Yes.
Resolutions by title.
Resolution 3816, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the County of Bergen for public health services for 5 years, 2016 through 2020. Resolution 3916, authorizing signatures on borough drafts and checks. Resolution 4016, resolution authorizing change order number 2 for the 2015 roadway improvement program, including Parkway and Jersey Avenue and JDOT funding. Resolution 4116, Municipal Alliance Grant Acceptance.
Is there a motion for the adoption?
Yes, move to accept.
Second.
Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Gervino?
Yes.
DeHere?
Yes.
Mesa?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Lindanow?
Yes.
Is there any new business? Is there any old business or any miscellaneous business? I believe we do have closed session.
We do.
Closed session items. I have something as well.
The contract matter.
Contract?
Litigation. Be it further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, that the Mayor and Council meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matters: litigation, personnel, and contract negotiations. Be it further resolved, that as precisely as can be determined at this time, the discussion conducted in said closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided disclosure not violating the privilege of invasion of privacy. Be it further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision they will return to open session after this meeting, but reserve the right to do so.
Is there a motion going to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in closed. Thank you everyone for braving this weather.
Yeah.